I'm excited.
Me too. Can people hear us?
I heard us live. I might have been the only one. I might have been the
He
only
said
one.
into the void. Can anyone hear us?
Let me find our tweet and tell people to listen.
Listen to us, please.
Listen to, I don't know if we have a song. I don't think it's a song. I don't think we have the song. Yeah, let's see if we get the 1K. The 1K edge runners. Will they carry?
So
will they run us over the edge?
Yeah, we're so close.
Already getting feedback on the show. We did not ask yet. Thank you. Thank you, though.
Very, very 6 out of 10, says Drax.
We did not ask.
You know, I thought we were gonna save the verdicts till the end.
Yeah, just had to know. Let us know how mid it was. Okay.
We gotta bury the lead. If we start with 6 out of 10s, we won't get to the 1K.
Yeah. Come on.
Gotta keep people guessing. Come on.
Gotta keep the people going.
Although, you know, yeah. Tweet. All right. Okay. I'm ready to talk about this show. It's like,
you're ready?
You
feel mentally prepared? Okay.
I think so. Yeah. No, okay. I don't think so. I fucking am.
Okay. So I guess for everyone tuning in now, I have no idea what Onimaru thinks, like in any capacity. Like I don't have any thoughts. He probably knows what I think because I've talked about it somewhat.
It's on Twitter.
Again, as usual. But I think he has like, I have no idea how he feels in any capacity.
Good.
Yes, as intended.
Hello in the chat.
Ayo. Okay.
Thank you. Thank you for joining us. All right. So we're just going to start. Anyone else that joins us, feel free to jump in. Let us know what you think. Yes. And or we catch the pod later. I see subtitled anime in the chat. Hey, how's it going, Gianna?
Oh, thank you. Thank you. We will not spoil you.
Can't wait to hear his takes on the show.
I can predict it.
I can too, but I don't know. Maybe I do. Maybe I don't.
Maybe I can't predict it. Yeah, no, I can predict it.
Maybe
for better or worse.
Maybe no one's ready for them. All right.
All right.
So, 1 second. Like trying to find this thing. Oh, he's starting tonight. Okay.
Oh, have fun.
Yeah, have fun. You'll probably finish tonight, to be honest.
Yeah.
All right. So, let's get this show rolling. Hi, welcome to the Just Weebs podcast, and today I'm Onimaru here with Shocking, and today we're talking about Cyberpunk Edgerunners. That's why we're here today. That's why we're having this stream earlier in the week. Also because we couldn't do Sunday, so we figured, we just watched this, and we're excited to talk about it. So, where do we start?
We're doing it live. Okay, so I guess for people who have not heard of Cyberpunk Edgerunners, which is a possibility. So this is a video game adaptation based off the Cyberpunk, what is it, like 2077 video game that came out, I think either last year or like 2 years ago. I'm losing track of time post-COVID, but so the video game came out. It was very like...
Yeah, I think Shaw's video screen is permanently frozen.
Am I just frozen forever?
Just frozen. Like normally she comes back by now, but she's just frozen. Like,
damn it.
I didn't know if it was just me.
Let me try again. Am I back?
No. Should we try like removing?
I'll leave and then come back. I will run away. and then return.
We'll just redo the intro.
Does this work now?
No, now your screen's just like pitch black.
Why does it keep doing this? Okay.
Something doesn't like you here. It's either your internet or
it's probably both.
Yeah.
Because I have no backgrounds going on. Yep. I don't know. Is it still not working? But
yeah, it's not working. And you completely left and came back?
Yeah.
Whoa.
I might as well just keep going. I've no.
Yeah, I mean, at this point, maybe it'll come back.
Just keep moving.
Yeah.
Just keep running.
Keep moving forward.
Keep moving forward. Okay. So it's a video game tie-in anime adaptation. And since the video game came out and it had a lot of buggy issues, I think everyone kind of had like low expectations, or they just like didn't. I don't know. I had low expectations because I knew the video game was really buggy and unfinished, and it had to do a lot.
You had low expectations. I had low expectations.
You had low expectations.
To be honest, I didn't even know it was coming out.
Yeah, I forgot about it because Netflix doesn't market anime well.
I actually don't even think I knew about it.
Yeah.
Like, at all. I think like I first heard of it when people were like tweeting about it, but sorry, continue.
Yeah. So it's like I'm just like messaging you like, yo, we got to watch the show. And you're like, what show?
I don't even know what you're talking about. Sure. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's like, we have no idea. Anyway, so it came out, and then I think I like heard some people talking about like, hey, like this is pretty good. And I don't know. I checked it out and I was like, yo, this is actually pretty good from episode 1. But I am a big fan of many Studio Trigger works, and I like Imaishi, the director's works, consistently. Yeah. So I'm never sure when like I like their stuff and then how that compares to like everyone else. Because I'll like it and then no one else will like it, and I'll be like, okay, I guess it's just me. So I was very surprised to see that a lot of other people liked it and that it's kind of like blowing up for everyone.
Yeah. Like, but I don't know. Usually I think Studio Trigger's stuff does well. It's not like it's like
they do well, but I feel
polarizing, I think
they get like, they're like a flash in the pan. And for, this might be too, but like for the sake of like, they come out, people are like really excited, but I'm never sure like how excited and how long that excitement will last. And I think this one is kind of interesting because like it's getting rated pretty highly kind of quickly. And something I did notice about a lot of Studio Trigger works is they're all around that like 7.9 on Mal. So it's like they have a lot of mixed reception. Like you'll have people be like, oh yeah, I really love this, but then other people will be like, this is dog shit and I hate it.
Yeah. I mean, except Kill la Kill is like right above that 7.9. It's 8.04.
Yeah, but like all around that, which is interesting because I'm like, I don't know, I don't get it. But
like this is kind of like a Devilman Crybaby meets Arcane like sort of situation where like, it's sort of this like one core Netflix anime that suddenly like dropped and like took the internet by storm, or like the community by storm, but also it's a video game adaptation like you were saying. Oh, and Shaw's back on camera. Welcome
it worked. Yay. Okay.
What you did worked.
Yay.
And so like, and it's like it feels kind of like Arcane, like where it's like innovative in its own right. Like it feels like Trigger in certain aspects, but also feels like them pushing like the, I don't want to say the edge, the boundaries.
Pushing the edge, yeah.
Of like what they've done before. So it feels different at the same time. So like that's like really
that's a great way of putting it, because it does feel like how I imagine the video game looks. I haven't played it, but I've seen screenshots. Like it feels like the video game, but it still feels like Trigger works too. Like it's a good combination of both.
Yeah. And I was gonna say this later, but I think it did a good job marketing wise, because now I want to play the video game. And I had no interest before. I
was like, oh my God, is the multi-level marketing scheme working? Like now I'm like, yeah. I was like, that song that plays at the episode 10, we'll get to it later, but there's that one song, like, I really want to stay at your house. I don't know. Like,
I
really want it.
I think
that song. Like people were like flipping out over it. I'm like, is that a song that's in the game? And then I was on this like mental like rabbit hole of like, do I have to play the video game so I can hear the song from the anime that was actually from the video game? And then
I mean, you could watch a YouTube clip, but
I could
you won't be as immersed. Like, oh my God. It's like
It's like
that Leonardo DiCaprio meme, like just pointing at the TV.
that's like yeah, that's me. That's like what I would like play the video game for. And I asked people how was the video game like post updates, and I feel like the general response is like they fixed a lot, so it's good, but feels like it could be more.
Yeah.
But that's good enough for me because I don't give a shit.
I feel like I might like if you.
I might do it too. Oh my god!
I might jump in because I think that's the one thing. Like if we're gonna go back to like focusing on the show and like the beginning of the show and all of that, like I feel like that's what it nails. Like from the first episode is this sense of atmosphere and like it gives you like this fascination like with the world and like sort of like what's going on, and that's like definitely. I think in the mix of the colors, the lighting, but like just kind of everything else.
Yeah. That's a good transition from our rambling into the show. Like, good job. I was impressed because I think 10 episodes is a very short amount of time to accomplish a lot, at least for me, long running Andy over here who enjoys like long running shows and takes a while to get attached to things. So I was very impressed from episode 1 with how quickly and effectively the series managed to establish the setting, the main character, and just like the overall emotional tone of the series, which to me is like we're in this very flashy, awesome looking futuristic city where everyone has this cool technology. They have cool technological implants. Like, oh, look, everything's so cool. Wait a minute, it sucks actually, because if you're poor, you're even more poor than you would be now. So like the class divide is massive, and that results in like the technological divide is like driving that too. So the power dynamics between the rich and the poor are even more divided than they would be in a like our modern society. So they establish that like pretty much from the get-go. And I think they do it like so effectively where they show his like, spoilers for Edgerunners episode 1, like, his mom gets into a car accident and we literally see like paramedics go over to her and check and see that she has no insurance coverage. And they're like, no insurance policy. And then they like fuck off. And they're like, no, we'll let the other people get it. And then she just fucking dies.
Yeah. Like they're like, she's not a client.
She's not a client. So, and it's like, in, modern society, like the lack of healthcare and like universal healthcare is such an issue. And this is kind of taken to that extreme of like, no, they're not going to like take you in and charge you. They just will not even cover you. Yeah. They just like, will not do anything.
It's taken to the extreme where like they're seen as below human, like subhuman.
Exactly.
Because like the first thing they say is like, oh, just leave him for the meat wagon. Oh, Shaw disappeared. All right, I'm here by myself. She'll be back soon. Hopefully, maybe. But yeah, I don't know. Should I continue off the point about meat wagons? No, I'm just gonna wait till Shaw pop back in. Okay, she's back.
Speaking of below human, my internet.
They're trying to suppress us. They don't want us to talk about the corporations.
They don't want to know. They don't know. Okay, right, continue.
Yeah, no, I was just saying, like, the thing is they said, oh, leave them for the meat wagon. So they already, like, don't see them as human. Like, it's like, oh, they're bottom of the rung, bottom of the barrel. And then, like, every scene after that is all focused on money. Like, everything is, he gets his mom, like emergency surgery from some back alley doctor, and the doctor himself is like footing him the bill, and it's like his package doesn't even include the basics of even visiting rights, of even seeing his mom post-op, and it's just like, oh, we're gonna essentially hold her hostage until you can cough up the money.
And it's so sus how, I don't know if you picked up on this or if this is me or if like I'm reading too much into it, but how sus is it? Like, okay,
she died,
we're gonna
like right after.
Yeah, well, it's like, okay, we're going to do the surgery here. Give us money. Also, you can't visit her. They charge him. And then like a couple hours later, they're like, oh no, actually she died. So like it begs the question, did she just actually die? And they just screwed him out of money anyway, because he couldn't even visit her.
Yeah, you know what? I thought there was something sus on that, but I couldn't like put my finger on like what exactly they did. But that like makes actually the most sense, that she was already dead. I just thought that they didn't manage to like the surgery was, I believe them face value that the surgery was successful, but then they kind of like, she kind of like ended up dying and they didn't do anything about it. But I think that actually makes more sense, because the very next thing, like right after she dies, kind of like an assembly line, is he's passed the funeral bill, like the funeral like payment options. Yeah. It's like he's still processing his mother's death, and it's like, okay, what do you what payment options would you like? Oh, would you like cremation? That's our budget friendly option, and it comes right out of a can, right out of a vending machine, just like completely human.
Oh my god. Yeah, and this is just like the first episode.
Yeah.
Like
And after he picks up his mom sized can, or like the can
his
holding his mom's
mom
ashes.
can't.
Yeah. He gets now like a call about, or he hears her voicemail for the rent payment. So it's like constantly everything's like money,
Money,
and
money, like nonstop.
yeah, yeah. And the show kind of like does this in like back to like how it executes it well in like the first episode is it does a lot of this without too much dialogue. It's sort of like it kind of goes through and all of these things kind of happen and it keeps things moving along, and then it sort of at the end then it just sort of like it kind of just kind of like throws those things in like repeatedly about money like as those things happen. So
yeah, and it also like highlights just how alone he is,
yeah.
David, our main character, he's just so alone and everything. Like, his mom was kind of the only person like keeping their family afloat. And then, once she dies, I like the visual imagery that is kind of like a consistent thing throughout of, he takes on her jacket, kind of like him taking on her dreams, her expectations, her memory,
Here's a thing. I don't know if I'm right about this, but like I noticed that there was something like off about David from the beginning. Like he felt like he was numb, like to his reality, because like the very first scene, like the very first thing is like him like watching like an XBD of like this psycho killer, and he's essentially, at least from the pose, kind of getting off to it, or at least the thrill of it. And like. But for like his real life or whatever, like he's just sort of apathetic. There's like one scene, and it happens like twice, where he's just staring blankly in front of the washing machine as he's seeing it spin. And he's just like has no expression. It just zooms in on his eyes. And it's either like he's coming off of the thrill of just having watched the video and like, he's kind of getting like down from the high, or he just like when he's not doing that, he just has no, like he just feels numb. And you can see it when he's also going in the transit train, like to school. He also kind of has that same blank expression. So it kind of feels like he like kind of knows he has nowhere to kind of go in terms of like society and like what he wants to do and all that stuff. So it just feels like everything's sort of like a dead end kind of. Like there's only one way to go, and it's like not the way he would want, which is becoming like a corpo. But
yeah, I feel like kind of and it's cool because you could go either way on that, because that's definitely not the first case we've seen of like a teenager who's disillusioned to their everyday life, so to speak, like because like how many teenagers love like getting up, going to school, doing the daily mundane routine, but then with the context of everything in the first episode with like him watching those illegal I forget what they're called, but like essentially illegal Blu-rays where you feel the person getting killed in action, with that. And then the context of everything later on, it is this sense of kind of like fatalism that he was never going to have that corporate lifestyle that his mom worked so hard for him to have, and that she wanted for him. And the cool details too of like, oh, he's a straight A student. He's one of the top students there. Like he's a really smart kid. Like there is that like evidence that a special life could have been in the cards for him, like a special corporate life. Like he could have risen up, but it was never something that he wanted for himself.
Yeah, like he clearly didn't want it because as his mom was talking to him about it in the car, he just sort of seemed like, he'll do it for her or he'll try, but it's just he had no like ambition to like actually like pursue pretty much anything kind of for himself.
Yeah.
So
yeah, and it could be a mixture of both of like he knew like deep down that's not what he wanted, but also it's like, tough for teenagers to appreciate that.
I think like the only reason I'm like pushing for that interpretation is because of later episodes, so we can like kind of get to that because there's just more like things that pop up that make me like think like there was something there, so that like was different from the usual. But
Yeah, but it's cool. It's cool because it could kind of like bait us into the usual. But like as you said, I think the context clues around everything else is kind of like actually there's something a bit off.
That's true.
Yeah. Brain dance. That's what they're called. Yeah. Those are the Blu-rays, the BDs,
that's
the
right,
Blue
that's
Dance.
right. Brain dance.
Yeah. So it's kind of cool to see that. And then and this is all happening so fast. So then it's like in the next couple episodes, he's introduced to Lucy and the rest of the crew, and then like we get to see him kind of taking on this edge runner life. That
everything does kind of happen like really fast over the next few episodes. Like the only time it kind of lets up a little bit is episode 4.
Yeah, is that the one where he and Lucy get together?
It's like they get together right at the end.
Yeah,
and that's like when things pick up again.
Yeah, and that was a really good. I was impressed. That was like a very good montage episode of kind of like here's the everyday happenings of the crew, but also it showed like a quick speed up of like him getting accepted into the crew, learning the ins and outs, learning about everyone, and then like really assimilating into the crew.
Yeah, and like kind of learning the ropes.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, and like I feel like that was their way of also condensing, because they only had 10 episodes. Like what would have been like maybe 2 or 3 episodes of like him getting close with Maine and kind of seeing him like more like a mentor figure and sort of like developing that camaraderie with the crew. Just all kind of like, like speed it up, so you can kind of get the gist of like the flashbacks and the flash forwards that he's already like comfortable with them, and he's kind of like finding finally a place that he fits in.
Yeah, definitely. And you get a sense of like the type of work they do, et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah, exactly. So like while he was like learning the ropes and stuff, like that was like the little bit of the slowdown, and then it just built up to the end where like, shit went like crazy with the cyber psycho. So
yeah, and I like how everyone is like very upfront and clear from the get-go that like this lifestyle leads to either going crazy or dying. Like yeah, they kind of say it from the get-go, and then they reiterate it like every other episode. They spell it out over and over again. Like it could not have been more foreshadowed. I don't even think it counts as foreshadowing. It's just like,
it's like
prediction.
It's an inevitability, and to like that's how it makes it seem, and then to think of anything else is made to seem like you're deluding yourself.
Yeah. What's the thing that Lucy says in episode 4? Like you're not, as an edge runner, you're not known for how you live. You're known how you die. Yeah.
Yeah. And she's like, I don't want you to die.
Yeah. Did you watch it in sub or dub, by the way?
I watched it in sub.
Okay, me too. I saw part of the dub today, and I think it was like fine, but I think this is one of those shows that has like very sometimes like natural feeling dialogue. So like some of the nuances can be missed back and forth, but like I think the dub is probably serviceable, but I definitely enjoyed the sub a lot.
I was only curious to see like the dub like once, just because I kept seeing the words like chum and nova, and I was like, I don't think this is in the Japanese. Is this said in like the English and this is translating the English? And that's what I was like really curious about.
Yeah. And then I heard that what's his name? Esposito, the guy who plays Gus in
Giancarlo Esposito.
Giancarlo Esposito. He played the bad guy.
Oh, I just heard that too. Okay.
Yeah. So that would be the only reason I would watch it, but maybe on rewatch. We'll see. I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Did we jump too like far ahead with going episode 4? Should we like go back to 2 and 3, or kind of those are kind of like a given?
I think it's episode 2 is the episode where he meets Lucy and they get close, and she tells him about the dream with the moon and stuff. And that was a cool sequence. I like that. Yeah. I don't remember what happens in episode 3 specifically. I think that's just more of like doing job with the crew.
3 is like when he's first introduced to the rest of the crew, because they kind of ambush him. Like like they find out about his mom. His mom was like having to pretty much be like an illegal like parts dealer. Yeah. To like, because it's the only method to be able to get like some side hustle money to pay for David's education. So
so he kind of takes that on, or like at least takes on like some kind of responsibility from that. I don't know. Yeah. So I think we're fine jumping to 4. He's part of the crew, and then
he gets with Lucy at the end after that other creeper is like shot.
Yeah. Can I just say how much I love that? I think in anime a lot there's this tendency to either not progress relationships or have glacial progression in relationships. So even if people are interested in each other, they don't actually like act on it. But I'm very glad they took the approach they did of like, Lucy and David obviously have mutual feelings for each other, and we're just gonna like make that happen, which I think is very fitting for the setting.
I think it made sense. One, because like they already kind of had some chemistry like right off episode 2, even though like she kind of lied to him at the end, but most of her interactions seemed genuine. And then in episode 4, like it really, I think what speeded things up is that it really set the tone. Like it really became life or death, because he like essentially saved her from dying, but like at the risk of himself getting shot, and her realizing that she doesn't want him to die, which is kind of an inevitability of being an edge runner, is sort of like, well, if you're gonna die,
and it makes so much sense for their setting, and everyone around them is like, like stop dawdling, grow a pair, and like make a move. So I'm so glad that this anime adaptation is really sticking true to like the setting and timing and kind of culture of this city, where like people would get into relationships fast because they're in this like live fast, die hard kind of situation, So I very much applaud them, like moving it along.
No, I think that was cool, because it was just like, and it also was nice to know that like she was sort of being cold to him ever since like he found out he lied to her, just because she thought he was mad at her, which he was. And that was like, okay, that's like why there was like this weird like tension between them. So
exactly.
So it was good. It was good that they like got together, and then episode 5. Well, episode 5 is really like the start of the setup for like episode 6, and that's like when the really
shit hits the fan.
Big moment happens. Big bad moment. Because then they started to introduce in episode 5 the gore like BD, like XBD dealer, the guy that makes the Edge Runner series, the creeper. The other creeper.
All of them are creeps.
And so like, and then you find out like David was like sort of like he was into that stuff, and he like watched the whole series. So you kind of got like the sense that David was also like addicted to like the thrill and wanted that life as well.
That adrenaline junkie kind of feeling.
Or some sort of like change, which makes sense.
Something I wanted to bring up that had been mentioned a lot up until this point, which is cool, is so we skipped over it, but it's kind of like a fundamental part of the series, is so in episode 1 he finds the Leviathan, which is like this military grade upgrade.
How did we not mention that?
It's such a like normal part of the series, but I have a point. So he gets this upgrade, and everyone applauds him for being able to physically handle such a physically draining and physically stressful piece of technology, that David kind of conflates his natural resistance to extreme technological upgrades with his mom always telling him how special he is. So he is convinced of a hero complex, that he is special, and that the rules of society, the rules of edge runners, and the norms that he sees around him will not apply to him, because he is convinced that he's special. So that kind of is the start of him not taking the danger around him seriously. And I think it's interesting because there are like tangible reasons around him that he is special, but he conflates it to like, I'm not going to die. I'm not going to be in danger. And that's kind of been building since the beginning. Sorry.
I'm just built different.
I'm just built different. He literally says, I'm built different. How funny is that screenshot? Like, oh my God.
When he said it, I just had to pause and be like, does he actually think this? This is not ironic.
He literally said, I'm built different. And I think like the good Netflix subs have it phrased a bit differently, but
no, I think this is the peak translation.
Like it's the best translation. I'm just built different. You knew they had to do that. Okay. So we have our literally built different MC.
And I feel like, and also it doesn't help that, I mean, it could have also just been from his mom initially, like telling him that, but it doesn't help that other people around him also feed into that. Like,
well, it's like, I'm torn on
Lucy's
that because
surprised that he can handle the thing, and she comments
yeah,
on it.
but they always say afterwards, they're like, okay, but like you're insane for being able to handle it, but you need
True.
you need to not do this, this, and this. Like you can't
Yeah,
rush into it. So they
yeah.
do correct themselves, but it's like he only listens to that first part of like, I'm special because I can handle this equipment, you know?
But I also feel like, and this could be like attributed more to like the other context like you get later, but I feel like he's also in a way convincing himself
Yeah.
because he
Yeah.
feels like I think what he feels is a lot of guilt over not being able to save his mom. So in order to make up for that, it's like I have to like prove that her belief in me was right.
Yeah.
Like I
Definitely.
have to prove that I don't believe in myself and I don't believe in like, I don't have any aspirations to do anything, but she believed that I had something, so I got to go prove that. Cuz like one of the words that she used, even though like her idea of it was like, "Oh, I just want you to reach the top of the tower and do it the right way and
Yeah.
go up the ranks."
Yeah.
All he took from that was, she was giving him a fighting chance, and this was like, to survive in society. So now he equates this with, okay, if I can survive, prove that I can survive in society and make it to the top my own way, that's sort of like, proving them wrong and proving my mom's beliefs right.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, and it's interesting how they like kind of set that from the beginning. And then after his mom dies, he kind of views Maine as like that mentor, almost father figure to him, and he
Yep.
always kind of looks to him for reassurance that like, you know, I'm special, I can handle it, kind of thing. And Maine is both like believes in him, and I think he says he thinks he can do it, but he also is like very realistic about the situation. You know?
Yes, exactly. Do you mind if I jump to the end of episode 6, which was
Go
one
for it.
example of that?
Yes.
In that scene, like where he's like running, David's running desperately to get to Maine because like, he literally just told Lucy, I need you to say you believe in me. And the whole time as he's like running up, he's like, Maine, I just need you to say that you like wait for me. I just need you to say that you believe in me, believe that I can do this. And he gets there, he's holding up the gun, he's gonna stay with Maine, and Maine's like, you can't do it.
Yeah,
Like
that
he
was
just
so
flat
powerful.
out is realistic, like you can't do it.
And it's so powerful too, because I think we can just go into the like, let's just go into 6. I think the 2 big episodes let's just jump right into it. I think the 2 episodes of the series that are the real highlights that I will think about like a year down the line are episode 6 and 10. So
Yes.
6,
Yes, absolutely.
yeah,
Rent free.
rent free in the head. Like if we had a first half and a second half, it's like episode 6 is the end of the good old days. This is the end.
Yeah.
And you see it at the beginning with like Maine is starting to show cyber psychosis. So he's starting to go crazy from all of the technology use he's had. I feel like it's not even abuse. It's just the more you use these upgrades, the more reliant you get and the more you lose sense of reality. And I think they do a great job of showing just how disorienting it is because it's like you see their eyes where like what their point of view is and everything is like degrading and going in and out of reality. They're going back to like their old memories. So like it feels like you're like watching your computer crash.
That's a good way of putting it. And what's interesting is like there's just like so many different ways you could also read it. Like another way I thought of it was that like it feels like they've gotten so much of the high of like the power and the strength of like the cyberware and like getting this feeling off of life that by some point they kind of become numb to it and start to just like check out on life because they can't get anything higher than this. Like literally they describe their nerves can't handle any more capacity. That's one way I thought of it. The other way I thought about it was like I feel like they're also, and I'm going to come back to this for episode 10, they're chipping away at their own humanity. And that's also why they could be checking out.
Yeah, definitely. I think those are both great ways of putting it. And it's like you can kind of view it either way based on the visuals that we get of like, Maine kind of thinking back to this like desert wasteland, which I guess is like where he grew up. So, and you see that as kind of like they're reverting back to their like long-term memory, but then it's been being juxtaposed with like the harsh realities of the city and like just fundamentally not being able to handle reality.
Yeah. And an interesting point I heard too was like the media could have actually invented the term cyber psychosis. Like why wouldn't these corporations spin it as like, oh, this isn't, our cyberware and all our stuff like that. It's these guys, kind of,
Yeah.
yeah. Like
Yeah,
what's
that's a great way of
stopping them
putting it.
from spinning it, and calling it that
Yeah.
when it's really like they're literally developing these like freaking like high grade military weapons that they're using on people that send them on a one-way ticket to cyberpsychosis.
Yeah.
So,
yeah, it's wild. So like we can see the writing on the wall from the beginning of episode 6 with Maine. Like he's going down there. And it's so funny that everyone is kind of like, they're not delusional, but they're in denial. They're like, they know, but they're like, nah, it's not going well.
Yeah. Like Maine was
Dorio.
really taking it hard. Like, yeah. Dorio was like telling him like, take the meds. It's like, no, I'm good. But even speaking of writing on the wall, I think it was back to episode 5, with David and the inevitability of like the path he was on. Like when the guy, well, it was the built different scene.
Yeah.
That guy tells him like pretty much like, you're not special. Like all edge runners, or we were saying before, like it's gonna end one way or the other. So you kind of knew that it's not gonna end well for David. And then when this happens to Maine, and then afterward, kind of David making the same mistakes, it's just like you should know better. Like, you have an example, but you're falling into the exact same things that like Maine was like falling into, where he couldn't, like he got into the denial.
Yeah, and it's like he kind of he takes Maine's hands, which they foreshadowed so hard that Maine was gonna die, when it's like, I don't want those other hands, like I'll take yours, I'll take one like yours. And he's like, well, if I die, like you can get them. So when he escapes to the car with Lucy, he has Maine's hands. So it's like very physical embodiment of him picking up the mantle. Like he has his mom's jacket, he has Maine's hands, he's taking on that role, that responsibility of keeping the crew running.
So here's my question with you. And I actually have 2 questions, but one is, David is taking on their dreams pretty much, what they wanted, the passing of the torch, their will, and going forward with that. And then Lucy comments on it later that he's living for someone else's like dream again. He never changes. Do you think David ever had his own dream?
No, I don't think so. No.
Okay, that's what I think too. That he was just taking on other people's dreams. Because here's what I think, and I don't know if it's too early to go into this, but I think that like David never felt like he had the right to dream. Like he didn't have the possibility to dream, because like he looked at his lot in life and he knew, he was aware in the beginning that he didn't belong, and he was never gonna sort of belong with the corpos and kind of like anywhere. Like he just felt different. And so because of that, his focus was always just on survival. Like ever since his mom died, it was just survival. But he was never thought of the possibility of a dream. And so when Lucy took him to the moon to show him like what was out there, like a life away from the city, keep in mind he's never been out of the city. It was the first time he kind of like saw like a possibility of something higher. You get what I'm saying?
Definitely. I think it's a good way of showing that like in this corrupt society, when you've like lived and you're born, like that's all you know, there's no way of seeing a sense out of it. So as you said, I think he was smart enough to understand that he was never going to fit in with the corporates that he went to school with, like those rich kids. But so it was kind of like, I think he just never thought of like dreaming, as you said. I don't know if he didn't feel like he could deserve it, because I don't think he has a complex about feeling undeserving, but it's like, it is kind of like he never really thought of having a dream or any kind of goal.
I think he just, I think he wasn't like, I think you're right. He wasn't like punishing himself or anything. Like it was just more of, it just wasn't in his mind. Like it just wasn't something he had the capacity to think about, I guess. Or
definitely.
And actually on that note, what do you think of, because I said he didn't fit in with the corpos, but I also think he might have not fit in with the edge runners, because what do you think about Maine's arm never properly fitting him?
That's an interesting one. I think that's like also, I think it does show that like he was also never supposed to be an edge runner, But I also think it shows that he also couldn't really handle the weight of like carrying on the team and carrying on those dreams.
And all the cyberware.
And all the cyberware, because he's just juiced the fuck up.
Because they actually kept mentioning like throughout and even towards the end that he doesn't have the body of an edge runner. Lucy says it. I think Maine says it. Like he just doesn't he doesn't look like he's built like one. Because he's not like big. And then after Maine dies, in order to like compensate for that, he bulks up on the cyberware to be as big, but that arm never fully fits.
Yeah, it's interesting. It's interesting note that they're like, no, it never fully fits. And it's interesting about like you don't have the body or the life for an edge runner. It's interesting because it's like I think there's also that level of like unless you're like you have no one looking out for you. I think that's what determines being an edge runner, where they're like, we have no choice in life. No one was looking out for us. Like our parents were not trying to put us through this expensive school. So I think that's also what they mean too.
That's what I was going to say. Okay. So, and that's a good point that you brought up. So the reason I didn't think David didn't have like the capacity to dream, or however I worded it, was because I feel like even though other people like his mom and then later Maine and even Lucy to an extent thought that he had like a bright future ahead of him and he could do all these things, I don't think David thought he ever had any other option.
Yeah, definitely. And I mean, in his defense, yeah, I mean, it kind of looks like that. Like,
yeah, like everything he ends up doing is for other people, and it's because he just doesn't feel like he has an option. It's like, I gotta do this, I gotta, take on the mantle for Maine. I gotta power up to go save Lucy. Like, I gotta do this to either survive or to get this done.
This is a funny note. My roommate laughed when he got enhanced lungs because you would want an enhanced heart for better circulation. That's really funny. He's built different. What can we say?
He's built different. He doesn't need the heart.
Yeah. But yeah, I think it's an interesting like way of establishing that like he never had a dream. Like it was not in the cards for him.
Yeah. However, yeah. I think that's a good way of putting it. He just like inherited dreams because he really just cared about the other people, and that's kind of what made him like sort of selfless and maybe not cut out to be an edge runner because he just wanted good for everybody. But but I think we were talking about episode 7, or did you still want to talk about episode 6?
No, I think we can go ahead to the final act, the final half of the series, as dramatic as that sounds.
It is the final.
It is. So he's like taken on being the leader of the crew. They have like a smaller crew now because half of them have either died or they're just not, Lucy doesn't want her to hack with them.
Yo, that new recruit that died, like that was really funny.
That was funny. They got like nerfed real quick. Ugh, feels bad. Just stepped on a bomb and we're like donezo. I guess we'll bring it up now. What do you think of Rebecca? She's kind of like the favorite, the sneaky fan favorite.
I think she's fun. I mean, I started liking her a lot more when she started, because she was like kind of barely there in the first and second act. I think if we could call it 2 acts, like she started really getting the spotlight more in that last act, and kind of her being there for David and all that. Like she was just really fun.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. I mean, like it's kind of bad that like, although I don't know, I thought the scene, like her final scene where like Adam Smasher came in like a wrecking ball or really like an anvil, I thought it was awesome.
I thought she was gonna survive that. I'm like, wait a minute.
I did not.
You're like, nah, she's done. She's done.
Yeah, like he fucking crushed her. I'm like, oh, she just went splat. And then when I saw it, I'm like, yeah. I don't know, but the fact that like they went at it from 3 angles, slow-moed it, and I was like, I should feel bad, but this is kind of epic.
They kind of memed it.
They splat the lolly.
That's so funny because like, it's so funny too because like this like Trigger series have never shied away from violence, but I feel like this is the most violent series from them. Like they show like people like, you'll see a lot of blood and whatever in other shows, like, but this one is very detailed about like this dude's head was cut off. Like they're done. They're done.
Like even like it was like super violent where David, we're on episode 10 or 9. David was using the now the cyber skeleton used the freaking anti-grav effect to like freaking nuke all these bodies like below him, and it's just a pool of just blood and guts. It was like, wow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't feel like Rebecca I feel like Rebecca should have survived. I don't feel like the ending was fitting for her. It's a tough call because she's kind of been like presented as the lighthearted, not like comedic character, but also she's kind of like just like the resident badass shooting guns and stuff.
Like that was supposed to be the end of hope. Like just
I think that's just when you kind of know this is the end of the line.
Like that was the tonal shift because again, they just came back, they came down, and then she was like, yeah, let's retreat. We're like gonna go, and then hold up, let me just take, oh shit, and that was it. Like you knew it was just gonna go downhill from there.
This is something cool to note. Apparently, you can find one of her guns in the bushes near the area in the game, and they added a couple of Easter eggs in the actual game. And like I heard that they added like side missions that match the anime, which is very cool. And
that's
just
super cool. Actually,
it's gonna just push us to probably get the game.
Like so, if the game like had like a better initial reception and like got to be more popular, this tie-in would have been amazing.
See, that's something we can talk about that later or now. I don't care either way. But
we can do later. We're almost done with like the main series.
Yeah,
so.
Yeah. We'll talk. Everyone reminds us. We're gonna talk about like the overall scope of this.
Okay. Hold us to it because we will forget.
We will forget because we're gonna go off
now.
Yeah. So then this is the part I think this is a part where like some people took some issues because I've heard people say like the first half is better than the second half. I don't know how we can even have the first half versus second half conversation when there's like 10 episodes. So I'm like, do you just mean like a couple episodes are not good? But I think people were annoyed that like the few criticisms I've seen, they've been annoyed that like people made stupid decisions. And I'm guessing they're referring to the slight miscommunication between David and Lucy in that one scene where they're like about to break up because whatever. But like, I don't think that counts as stupid decisions because I think they've established that Lucy was working so hard to try to prevent David from being captured by Arasaka. What's the company
Arasaka,
name? Arasaka. Like she was working so hard to prevent him from being taken by them and trying to like erase any link between him and the data because she had been their test subject for years. So like I think it makes sense that was like a compulsionary like obsession for her. And I think David going like essentially literally insane makes sense as for why he's not in his right mind. He's just continuously going insane.
So you think like all of the stupid decisions that David was making were cause of he was already going off the deep end anyway, so it kind of made sense. Like that's essentially like he wasn't fully in his right mind ever since like the middle of episode 7.
Yeah, and I don't think he's like I wouldn't even consider anything he's done as like a stupid decision in the sense that like it goes against his character. I think that like everything he was doing was just like the inevitable train wreck that he was set up for from the get-go.
Yeah, it just felt like I feel like to just understand those people that felt that way a little bit, I feel that it comes from like it literally just happened with Maine in the episode before. So it just felt like he should kind of know, but he was so stubborn about the fact that no, he's different.
He's built different.
He's going to change things that I could see why like he would be caught up in that mentality. And that's the point where I felt like he was actually really trying hard to convince himself because he was like Lucy kept saying like no you're not and he kept saying yes I am, like you don't understand. And it's because he had the frustration of feeling like I literally just got all these upgrades and I haven't been able to do anything yet for like the people I'm supposed to be making up for Maine, my mom. I'm supposed to prove something. So to him like this is like the only way forward. Like if you think about it logically, like if he wanted to live his life out with Lucy and just kind of ditch all this, he can't live a corpo life. So how do you make cash and how do you survive in this? And
do you just go to the moon? Did they just go to the moon and stay there? I think they were hinting at like,
well, they would need money though.
Yeah. So it's like, I guess he had it. It's like, when does he get enough money? Is there ever enough money?
Yeah. Yeah. And I like the only way to get enough money and still live that life is to continue what he's doing.
Exactly.
Like, because I feel like also the society itself did not like or encourage individuality in a way. Like it was, you either conformed Like, or if you wanted to live any other type of life, it's like, no, it's only the corporal life, or you gotta have it really hard.
Yeah.
Everything's gonna be against you. So
yeah. This comment by Musgard kind of like puts into focus for me where it's like people complaining about stupid character decisions is goofy. A lot of time they're like, oh no, people are a fallible human, and then their follow-up of it can be genuinely a result of poor writing, but not as much as people treat it. And that's where I feel like we're in that place where, like, if I can understand why characters are making foolish decisions because it's been established by their characters already, like their background, their motivations, whatever, then I don't think it's like bad writing. It's just intentionally foolish decisions that have been set up. And that's what I think we have here.
yeah, I mean, I think initially I did feel like it was a little stupid myself, but then the more I thought about it, like,
yeah.
And I think they were also falling back, him being stuck with having to live up to those dreams that he felt like he needed to make up for, and that guilt. And I feel like for Lucy, her being scared of one, Arasaka finding them or finding her again,
yeah,
but also two things: David's nature, that if he knew about the cyber skeleton, he'd probably just upgrade.
Yeah.
And she didn't want that for him because she really didn't want him to die. And so she couldn't tell him. And then two, I think the difference, like the stark difference between them started happening in like episode 6, where like before that they probably would have just run off together. Like if, David was kind of in that mindset where he would have dropped everything for her, but then the whole thing with Maine happened.
Yeah.
And I think Lucy, because her backstory is that she prioritized her own survival and just kept running and got away. She's always looked out for herself. Whereas David's the opposite, and he'll run into the fire just to like save other people. And like their approaches are so different that like, that's why like she her method was going at it alone.
Yeah, definitely. And that makes sense. So that's a good way of putting it.
Also, I do want to address this. I did think at some point that reminded me of Goodfellas. Like,
there we go.
Like
Good
Ray
runners.
Liotta being in the life just because he likes it. Like, that's what I thought about David wanting to be an edge runner. Like, he didn't really have like a big goal. He just kind of wanted to be in the life.
Good runners.
Good runners.
Yeah. Yeah.
Edge
so
fellas? No, just good runners.
Edge fellas.
Edge fellas.
Yeah. Yeah. So then the Giancarlo character that we didn't actually see because we watched the sub, he ends up betraying them inevitably. Kiwi betrays them. So sad.
Yeah.
And so then we lead to the big boom booms where David literally takes down like a fucking army from the like opposing company. Like he just puts on the cyber skeleton and like he's actually just like
destroys everything.
Yeah, we know that, and we just know this can't end well.
That final sequence where they're like rushing into the city, and this is more episode 10, like kind of reminded me of Akira, which I think is the point, cyberpunk.
Yeah, I can see that.
Yeah, it was like really cool, just like seeing them like come in, even though like David is so off the edge, just so gone.
He is so gone, and they got the meds where they're like constantly like calming his nerves, like just pumping him up every time he does something. And
then he just starts seeing images of like, his past, his mom, and just like he's
that hits hard. I like that they started the episode where they show him like walking the streets like he normally would when he was going to school, and then they immediately flip to him like in current times when they're running away from like the other company and he's like destroying shit. It's such a good kind of like way of being like, look where we started and like look how far we've gone.
Yeah. And I think that did chip away at him too. It was cool too that in the last 2 episodes they really start showing edges a lot. So like he literally puts on, so the cyber skeleton is literally placed after the edge of a cliff, and him putting it on is him going off the edge.
Oh wait, that's so true. Oh my god.
Yeah.
The literal metaphor. He is off the edge. Oh my god.
Episode 10, it happens like 3 times, and like he's just like
off the edge.
Like he's at the top of the tower, but he's standing by the edge, and he's like literally like, I have nowhere else to go. I might as well go off. I'm like,
I just imagine you sitting there and you're like, there's the edge. There it is. I see it.
We're here.
The Leo point.
Hey. Edge. Oh my god.
Oh my god.
Yeah, episode 10 was crazy and sad at the same time.
When he's like gets to the top of the tower and he's like, look, mom, I made it. And we're like, no, No, it's not gonna end well.
No, it's not. I mean, like he was just saying that in a way, like his hard drive had really crashed at that point. He was just like, "Mom, I'm
he
here."
had green screens, hardcore, or blue screens.
Yeah, and then even when like he was fighting all of them, he was just literally picturing past scenes of his previous fights, you know, and it was just like,
and then we meet the true final boss, Adam Smasher, a name that only Trigger could come up with.
What a boss!
What a boss! And so, like, I still don't know. Is he like completely like mechanical? Does he
think
have
it's just his like head, like this head portion, like half his head might be the only human thing left to qualify him as a cyborg.
That's what I thought, and I'm like, excuse me.
Just because, like, I was looking at the differences between him and David, and even though David is mostly now mechanical at some point, the only his torso, is like human, and you know, compared to this guy who literally just has the top of his head.
I heard that he's in the video game. I don't know the context, but he is in the video game.
I want to play now.
Now I want to play Adam Smasher. Do we get to smash Adam Smasher?
Oh God.
Not like that. Not like that. Like literal. Not like like a literal punching.
I know.
No, yeah. Just in case.
It'd be cool.
Just in case.
Him. Yeah. I mean, I bet there's that in the game too.
Also that too. Yeah. I don't know the like everything that can happen in the game, but we'll find out at some point.
Yeah. Just Weebs stream Edgerunners.
Our Twitch channel. Weeb Runners.
Yeah. Twitch channel run. Cyberpunk 2077.
Yeah.
You like man the controls, I backseat drive.
Look, there's the edge. Let's go.
Go.
Yeah, so that was kind of a cool fight. I think if I had played the video game and then I knew the anime, I'd be like, oh my God, it's him from the game. So like I also heard from someone that he's infinitely cooler in the anime than the game, which is sad, but I mean, what can you do?
What can you do? Freaking cool in the like I you know, I want it to be sad, but I'm just like, this guy's kind of
You just started cheering for him against the main cast. You're like, okay.
I'm kind of bad, you know, like I gotta admit, this is bad, this is horrible, but the moment he used his Sandevistan or Sandy against David, I was like, fuck yeah, finally. Because I just found it hard to believe that there was no other dude that had one of these like things equipped. Because like David thought the whole like show he was untouchable, he was super quick, and no one else can do this. And it's like, there's literally got to be another dude with one of these, and he's just gonna stop him in the middle of him running, and he's gonna be like, oh shit. So,
I just also love it because I like the way that they show him moving really quickly, like where first they just show like block, 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 and then they show you in real time where it's like whoosh. So it was cool to see them both doing that.
What was that? Sorry.
Sorry, I was just doing hand gestures of whoosh.
No, Drax just said Adam Smasher is a Borg, which means the only human thing about him is the brain. So there you go. There you go.
Nice. Okay, that makes sense.
So he's literally, you know, a brain in a jar.
Okay. Okay, that makes sense.
I'm sorry. So you were saying that the scene where
the way they show that the Leviathan or whatever, Sandy, whatever, the way they show it moving quickly, I like how they start off with showing it slowly and then they show in real time how quick it goes.
Yeah, yeah.
So when they both were doing it, that was cool to see. You're like, oh damn, here we go.
It's like, and then he just starts it up. I'm like, yeah, there. Of course he would have this. And then he's like, later, I'm like, yeah, it's a rudimentary upgrade. I'm like, and he even tells them like when they're like kind of grilling each other in the beginning, he's like, you know, he's like, I think I'm special. You know, like how can you handle all this? I'm special. And even Adam Smasher comments on David not having the body for being in like I guess an edge runner or being, you know, to handle all the heavy artillery he's wearing.
Everyone just calling him out. And I feel like in any other, at least anime, it would be like not a thing. But in this time, it actually feels like, nope, this is actually a relevant like piece of information. Yeah.
Yeah. It's like the power of belief in yourself doesn't help out here, buddy. Nope.
Yeah, I want to get to
how
that.
Much you believe.
Yeah, I want to get to that later.
Limitations. Yeah. Yeah.
So then we get the big fight. You know, we already kind of talked around it, but like he saves Lucy and he's like, I don't have a dream, but you have a dream, so I want you to live it. So, and he ends up letting her escape. And then we have the scene of him versus Adam Smasher. Like the other crew is getting away, except
Actually,
Rebecca, R.I.P.
Yeah, right before that, right when he saves Lucy, I did notice, and I just think this show has a ton of parallels. It just keeps going back to shots in the beginning. The shot of him kissing Lucy in the air in front of the moon was almost exactly the same as their first kiss on the rooftop in episode 4. Even the positioning, and it was just kind of crazy, like how it went back. And before, she was like, "I don't want you to die," and like you have so much like ahead of you. And here he's like, "I have nothing left." And it was just like that kiss was more of like a goodbye. Like the dream of them going together is dead.
It's so sad.
So crazy how it just like mirrors.
They did so good with that too.
Yeah.
It hurts. And then
yeah,
I love that scene and it hurts me. It's so sad. And then so they like have the fight, and I was both not surprised and surprised that they have the fight with him and Adam Smasher, where like, so they're fighting, and I think he's getting like his body parts ripped apart, and they kind of have that scene, and I'm thinking to myself, I'm like, if this is any other scene or any other series, he either makes a miraculous comeback or he takes them both down with him. But I think he just gets like evaporated,
crushed by the system.
He just got fucking crushed. Like Adam Smasher really lives up to the name. Like he really just smashed him.
You know, it was cool because like I thought like Adam Smasher was just talking a bunch of shit when he said, "Oh, he's just using anti-grav training wheels, you know, he's just a crutch, he can't do anything." And then he backs all that shit up, and I'm like, "Oh, okay."
No, he actually means it.
Lucy tries to hack into him, and he's like, "Haha," you know.
Like when he pulls the lines, and she's like, "What the fuck? How did that happen? Like, how does he do that?"
Vital boss.
Yeah. And so I don't think I've seen, at least in an anime, like such a like thorough, absolute beatdown of the main character with no sense of kind of like, you know, no sense of like triumph. I mean, I guess he did have the triumph for at the end. He like Adam Smasher praised him for being fun, and he's like, "I don't give a shit," kind of thing.
And it's crazy because that line was exactly the same, and now I'm getting really nerdy with this. Right after he beats up the first classmate,
that rich kid,
he just got the Sandevistan and used it, and like the dude threatened him like, "Oh, my dad's the principal, you're like, you can get expelled," and he just says like I give a shit.
Oh, so that's the same line. Okay, I was wondering. Okay, that makes sense. Okay, it's cinematic parallels. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So it's like he's just in that point he was ready to move on, and at this point he was ready to move on. It's like he did what he needed to do, and that's it.
And then it was
by
like
the end he's like, "I'm still not going to conform." So
which is cool. We respect it. But it's also like, I respect that, but it's so funny because you know what I mean? Like, even when like a character dies, let's like, even, you know, like a See You Space Cowboy moment, you feel some sense of triumph even at the end. Or like, Zero Requiem. Like, even when people are going down, you get a sense of like, I'm doing this on my terms, or I'm going to like, whatever. This one felt like kind of just like desolate beatdown, at least to me.
Well, I completely 100% agree with that. So that's why, like, by the end, I was just like, yeah, you know?
Yeah.
But I realized that I think it's supposed to show that nothing changed. Like, he was barely, like, able to make any dent in the city. He was just another cyberpunk. Because he actually, I think he dies, and I think he laughs, because he's looking up at the moon. And the final scene, like, of showing, like, the skyscrapers from up above is literally how the show opens up. So it's like it's not the last scene of the episode because the last scene is the moon, but that last scene of that fight is the first scene when you're going into the show. So it's like cyclical, like the washing machine.
You got it.
Nothing fucking changed.
No, I can't. You got the receipts. This is good.
It's too fresh in my head.
It's too good. But yeah. So sad.
But yeah, like, but the one thing he was able to change, the one thing he was able to do is, my interpretation is that he was able to let Lucy escape.
Definitely. that was the one. That was the one win. And then that scene on the moon is so sad.
So, how did you feel about the last episode? Did it like hit you emotionally? Did you cry?
I kind of started tearing up. I was surprised because I knew, I think I got someone spoiled it for me like the day I was going to watch it. But then it's not even like a huge spoiler because I saw it coming from like a mile away. But the way they handled it still got me tearing up. Like her on the moon and her seeing like, it always gets me when she sees the like innocent version of David, not like the juiced up David, not the like
Royd's David.
Royd's David. She sees like the David that like she had that experience with of like that first moon Blu-ray that they saw.
Yeah,
like
and that's before he started running, you know.
Yeah, that's like makes me so sad, and I'm like, no, it's just not happy. No.
Some people said the ending was hopeful. Did you get that vibe?
I mean, it's hopeful for her and that she's alive, but I mean, she's still really sad. I think it's like one of those things where it's like, you know, she's happy because she remembers David. Then she's sad that she remembers that he's not with her, and then she's embracing the future. So
And
I guess
also,
yes.
Like, yeah, and also he kind of like was able to free her, so he did make this happen for her. I don't know. I just like, okay, by some people I meant like I read like one person say it was hopeful.
Yeah.
So
no,
like,
I could see it. But it still makes me sad. So
yeah, I mean, I think that's the point. I felt like David felt after Maine died, like that picture behind us, like that.
Yeah.
But I actually did not like shed any tears. I did not. I just felt like I was just super dry. Like,
you're like, no. You're just laughing at Rebecca's death.
I've rewatched Made in Abyss season 2 so many times now that it's like I just think I'm completely desensitized. I'm just like, all right, whatever.
I'm gonna blame Made in Abyss season 2 on you not feeling emotions and not me ruining your emotional attachment to Your Name in other films.
Would it be funnier if we just blame you?
Yeah, let's blame me for the memes.
You. No, I just feel like Made in Abyss destroyed me in some type of way that now I've intellectualized everything.
I like the way you're like, I've intellectualized it. I've processed the data through the CPU.
Oh my God. Muscart says the final shot of Lucy standing there in the sunlight is so beautiful. It is.
Yeah, I agree. So good.
It's the sun hitting her. So that pretty much covers the whole, I guess, our thoughts on the main series. I don't know if like there's something we missed. Let us know in the chat. Yeah. Should we move on to the topic we promised?
Yeah, and then one final note for in-game tie-in that I heard of is that the David, is his last name Martinez?
Yes.
The David Martinez is a drink in the game to honor his legacy.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah. So he honor his legacy as an edge runner. So it's really not about how you live, but how you die. And then you get named after a drink.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I actually did, now that you said his last name, I did have a hard time believing in the beginning, like, he's Dominican? Is that what they're saying?
Yeah.
Why is he's not speaking Spanish? Like, no. Not feeling it.
Where's the Spanish in my Japanese subs?
I think they just threw in the last name. You know, even Megalobox season 2 had the Spanish, you know?
Yeah, I like it.
Yeah. But soundtrack was lit. It was good.
Soundtrack was great.
That was all from the game?
I don't know. That's a good question.
I heard someone in the chat saying it was literally like you could hear most of it in the game.
That makes me happy and it means I'm going to buy the game. This is awful. We're just going to play the game.
Good marketing. Good marketing.
So wait, I know you didn't rate it because you probably knew I'd go on your mouth, but like, what did you rate this? I'm guessing, is it good, not great, or is it great? What is the Onimaru?
Oh, what did I rate it?
Yeah, because I think you liked it based on our conversation.
What if I'm a good actor?
Performative praise.
Yeah, I mean that's how Lucy played David in episode 2.
Yeah.
What do you think I rated it?
I think you gave it an 8.
Okay. You sure?
Yes. Final answer.
All right. Chat, what do you guys think?
Yeah, what do we think Onimaru gave the show?
Based on my energy during the conversation, or lack of
based
energy,
on him intellectualizing
the lack of emotions at the end and me like
laughing at
enjoying
Rebecca's
the gag of Rebecca dying.
The gag.
Someone said in the chat, it's like she didn't deserve to die that way. Like they made it seem like a gag. Like
got a 7 and 2 8s.
Good. It was so trigger.
7 or 6?
All right, you guys ready for it? Drum roll. Actually, light to decent 9.
You gave it a 9 too. Yay!
Oh, I had a lot of fun with it.
Yay!
It was really good.
We're the 9 squad.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
Love
it was
that.
Good. I mean, like, I feel like at some point by the ending, I felt like a little deflated by it, where it didn't end off a high note, and I was like considering like maybe the 8 or whatever. But like the fact that it was just able to stay so rent free in my head, and I was just like thinking about it more and more, and I was like, you know what? And I did have a lot of really good time with it. It was really well done. So,
yay!
That's my score.
Yay! Yay! Yay!
Yeah.
We are full-time anime enjoyers.
Yeah.
Just anime runners. Enjoying runners.
Yeah, I think I would still have like Kill la Kill above it.
Yeah, I would put Kill la Kill above it. I think, longer appreciation of hype and greatness. Yeah.
Apparently
I like the Fooly Cooly reference in episode 4 where Draven drinks the carbonated drink. I think that's cool. I didn't notice that. I can see that.
That was a reference. I just thought it was like good appreciation for people that don't like carbonated drinks. I was like, oh.
Yeah. Yeah, I could see that. Something I saw that someone else brought up was like, they're like, oh, I think this is like a more nuanced take on Gurren Lagann. And I think that this is a completely different kind of story from Gurren Lagann, but they have similar themes of that like chosen one passing on destiny, passing on like hope kind of thing,
I feel like it's subverted Gurren Lagann or inverted Gurren Lagann, something where they take like the similar themes and explore them in like how they would actually work in this type of world.
Yeah,
realistically.
Definitely. Yeah.
So that actually is really cool and makes you want to watch Gurren Lagann again.
Yeah, we just watch all the trigger works again.
That's it. I feel like that's like your secret agenda, like let's just watch all of Trigger.
Yeah, it's like we are the Trigger podcast.
But yeah, well, I agree. Gurren Lagann is very nuanced. What the fuck?
Yeah, I agree. I don't like the take that like because it's I don't like to take that it's like more nuanced because it's darker and less hopeful at the end. I think they're both equally nuanced in different ways. I think the Gurren Lagann setting is different than this setting. Like Gurren Lagann's world is supposed to show about like humanity, coming into its own, developing civilization and going towards a bright future. And this one is like, look at how fucked up this city is, Yeah.
Gurren Lagann's innately positive. Like it's supposed to, for the most part, not the end. For the most part. But like mostly positive.
Yeah.
And this is like, nah, fam.
Nah, we ain't in that. Yeah.
Nope.
Yay, so
couples, your favorite Kill la Kill couple? I mean, not Kill la Kill. Trigger couples not getting together.
Yeah. If it's your favorite couple and they're canon, it's not happening. No dice.
It's not happening. Sorry.
Yeah. I was gonna say, yeah, so I'm glad we both liked it a lot. I'm glad I didn't force you to watch a show and you're like, fuck this.
Yeah, I like had no plan to watch it either.
Yeah, I didn't have any plans until I was like word on the street is like this might actually be some gas. So I'm glad we checked it out. I'm glad other people checked it out, and I'm glad that it's kind of like a surprise hit.
Yeah, like I think this is really like one of those. Now speaking like more broadly, I feel like this is one of those like monumental, like not monumental, but like significant like anime entries that like can pave the way forward for like the medium in general.
Yeah,
like
this will be a great entry level show.
What was that?
A great entry level show.
Yeah. Because I feel like it's just like it felt like it's also because it was like part, because it was based on a Western game but animated by like a Japanese studio, and it kind of captured the elements of both, which makes it very appealing to like an overseas audience who like really likes either adult shows or like more gritty realistic takes, and then kind of like references that they can catch and appreciate as well. So I feel like that paves the way more toward that. So, and for video game adaptations.
Yeah, I think this is the rare case where you have a or I'm not gonna say lackluster, I haven't played it, but I'd say overall disappointing video game with a great anime adaptation when normally it's the exact opposite. So
yeah. I mean, you could argue that for League, sort of.
Well, I
and
don't think Arcane is an anime, if I'm being honest, because it's
True.
made by a Western studio.
I know
and
I
I'm
keep
thinking,
like bringing it up, and it's just like, my guy, it's not an anime. But I'm like, I don't know, but I enjoyed it like an anime. So
Yeah.
can I say it's an anime?
yeah, I actually haven't finished it yet, and this has inspired me to get back on Arcane. So I'm inspired.
Arcane pod, even though it's like long overdue, but I'm down.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
So I'm
then we
excited
can
to finally
play
get to it.
League after you and me.
Yeah.
Like, we'll just toxic games.
We're going down David's path real quick.
Yes, yeah. Everyone's like, the writing's on the wall. There's
Yeah.
only death or going insane with this. I'm like,
Yeah,
we're
which is
fine. We're
League.
built different. We're built different.
We're built different for League. Yeah, I just bring it up not to be like the pedantic, annoying person of like, it's technically not an anime, but like, I'm thinking back to like Persona 5 anime came out and everyone's like, okay, this is ass. And then there's just so many cases where it's like, oh, look, we have this video game people liked, and then we have the worst anime adaptation of all time. Not talking about Persona 5, just in general. So it's like
Yeah.
really bucking the trend.
Yeah, so we definitely want to, like highlight the ones that are legit, video game adaptations that are actual anime. So, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, what was the topic we were going to bring up? Was it the video game adaptation topic? Or
I
was
think
it
we're going to talk about Netflix Netflix somehow not butchering an anime.
Should we talk about JoJo's?
We could bring up how we're like, I think part of our surprise, at least on my end, is that a Netflix original anime is actually being handled well. That's what I'm surprised at, because I feel like that has not happened in a long time.
I mean, to be fair, it would be kind of hard, like to release this 10-episode anime in like 3 batches.
Yeah.
To just be like, hey, here's the first 3, half a year later, here's the next 3.
Yeah, and yeah, that makes sense. And I'm actually going back, and not going back. I'm watching JoJo Part 6, the second half. I don't even know what to call that. The second core. And it's like handled pretty well. Like the production on it is like good. It's not showing any like glaring faults. It's just so disappointing how Netflix has done like a non-existent job of marketing it and has like it gapped out so far in between both entries. So it's like, where's the hype? Where's the drive to discuss it? Like just like
the momentum has just like died so much on it, because people don't even, because like they haven't even done a good job of letting you know when the next batch is like coming out in a reasonable time frame, that you can't even get excited. It's like, oh, it's coming out one day.
Yeah, like what is it's kind of like, what is the point?
So I don't know if and they are doing some anime weekly. Some are weekly. JoJo's is in a weird spot because I think they were really trying to hype up each part, or maybe the production staff needed more time. I don't know if that's the case. Unless it's already all done.
I don't know, because I don't know how it's airing in Japan. That's a question.
And I feel like it's locked to Netflix in Japan as well.
Yeah.
But Netflix did do Devilman Crybaby, right? They just kind of dropped it all at once. But I don't think they did market it. It was just sort of like a, hey, here it is.
I think that, they did kind of like minimal marketing, but I think it's kind of like, I don't know, it like worked for that function. And I think that was the last big like, look, anime original Netflix doing well, I think.
Yeah.
I guess like that and like Violet Evergarden, those would be the big 2.
Yeah. So how do you, I guess, feel about the Netflix watching experience in general? Like, I guess overall, I know we're talking about it, but I guess is it mostly just JoJo's Part 6 that is like kind of like the big, like, what the fuck, why are they handling it like this? Or do you think it extends to other stuff?
I think it extends to other stuff, whereas like, I don't want Netflix to have like anime original series. I like them bringing something that already exists onto Netflix. Like that's cool. I don't like how they handle currently airing anime. I think I don't think they like really felt the culture of like week to week episodes, week to week discussion, like, and they don't do marketing well. But like also when it comes to actually watching it, I'm like, oh yeah, this is cool. I like Netflix. And I'm glad that it will reach such a wide audience.
Yeah, I think that's a good point, actually. It is good that it reaches such a wide audience, but it should really, Netflix is best for just like binging stuff, like
Definitely.
Once it's all done, having it on the background. Like literally that's the value of the skip intro button. I said it.
Yeah.
Because, it just filters through the episodes and you don't even know that they're going by so quickly. But when you're having to wait every week or every few months,
And it like Netflix isn't one of those platforms where I don't know, you feel conducive to check when the next episode is out, if that makes sense.
Yeah, definitely.
I feel
Because
like
you just assume they're all there.
Yeah, I feel like other sites you check like, okay, when is the airing date? When is this coming out? And it makes itself like more user friendly for that, like to remind you or to, you know, I don't know, like to kind of for you to check for that. So
yeah, definitely.
Yeah, that's all I got on Netflix.
That's all I got on Netflix, and
I mean,
I think that's all I got on Cyberpunk. What do you think will be? I guess last question to wrap it up. What do you think will be the legacy of Cyberpunk?
bad game, great anime. No, I don't know. I don't know. I think it's. I mean, it's definitely not going to have a sequel. Like, it's definitely not. There, unless they make a completely new,
like an
original
anthology
story.
kind of series where it's like
Yeah.
follows a completely different cast, which I
Like,
would be down with.
It'd be cool to see more of the world, and seeing if like maybe there's a cyberpunk that could finally break free of through the system of or not.
Yeah.
But I feel like it might just be one of those shows that's sort of like remembered as like, oh, that was just a really good, like standalone thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, like, doesn't sound super positive, but I just feel like,
Yeah.
I mean, it could lead. Hopefully, it leads to more other ideas and other like tie-ins, maybe with other franchises or stuff. That'd be super cool. Like if they execute it well. But
Definitely.
I think for Cyberpunk, unless they're gonna make a game for Edgerunners, which that wouldn't work either because cast
No.
is dead. So
Yeah, I think they would just have them be incorporated into the existing game.
yeah. So I think that's kind of my take on it. I think it's just gonna be remembered as like a really good standalone, and it leaves hope for more projects like that.
Yeah.
Like a good blend of just like, like the collaboration between Western and like Japanese studios.
Yeah. That's a good way of looking at it. Yeah.
What's your take?
Pretty much the same. I think it'll be remembered for being really great. And then, well, it'll be remembered for being really good, but I don't know how long people will continue to talk about it.
Yeah, because it's sort of tied to like a franchise, it's kind of like it might be a little confusing as like an entry level anime. Like I think it works great as like a maybe not a gateway, but like just a good one core anime for people to get into.
Yeah.
Maybe an entry level one, but like it might confuse people or put them off like knowing it's like somehow tied to a franchise they know nothing about.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah. That's kind of it.
Yeah. I think that's a good way of putting it.
Yeah. Favorite characters?
So David's got to be the top one. I think David's really great. I think I'd go David, Lucy, Maine, and then Rebecca.
David, Lucy, Maine, and Rebecca. Okay, I think I would go Lucy, David, Rebecca, Adam Smasher, Maine.
I need you to be like the #1 Adam Smasher fan.
Bro. So coul.
Like put on your Mal. Don't have any other favorite characters, just Adam Smasher.
Just making my PFP like no context.
Adam Smasher.
Adam Smasher's #1 fan. People just telling me in the tweets like he's not that cool in the game.
And you're like, I don't give a shit. I will play as Adam Smasher.
Yeah, I will. I do like Maine though. Maine was pretty good.
Maine was good.
So yeah, but Adam Smasher.
Adam Smasher, top one.
Glad that Faraday, the fixer guy, got like he splattered onto the ground like a shit stain that he was by the end. So I was.
Yeah, he's probably top 5 by default, I guess, but also just get beat the fuck out. Fuck him.
He's in your top 5?
Yeah, because he was kind of like another way of showing like someone who was trying to gain that upward mobility and failing. Like he was just a level above all the edge runners, but was just as equally pathetic in the eyes of like the major corporations and stuff. So yeah. I think he served his role.
Yeah, I think that functionally like he was just a pawn, in the grander things. I just don't know if I like felt that he was that compelling. So I think like by the nature of his character, he was interesting. But personally, I was just like, not that
I don't know who else would be 5. 5 is like a rotating spot.
It's true because like as much as the cast was likable, they weren't like super developed that you could really say like, oh, I really love them. Like Dorio, Kiwi, You know, Falco.
Yeah.
Falco was barely there.
Yeah, for sure. That's why I think it's kind of like, yeah, I guess the four of like
the
the main. Yeah, there we go.
Yeah. All right.
I think the only characters that will really stick with me beyond this one are like Lucy and David, though.
Pretty much.
David is definitely one of probably, I don't know if he's a favorite MC, but he's definitely up there. I like him a lot.
Yeah, he's a good MC. He has a cool cut.
Yeah, he has a cool hair. He has a good the character designs for the show are just like ridiculous.
Great design.
Designs are next level.
I'm glad they redeemed the red eyeshadow. They claimed it back from Darling in the Franxx.
Wait, is that for Lucy? Does she have it?
Yeah.
Ah, thank God.
And so does
We've been saved.
02.
Ah.
Yeah. Yeah. I saw like a meme of like characters with like red eyeshadow, but I don't know if that was just for Trigger Works or if that was just in general. Yeah.
That's a good question.
Or just eyeshadow in general.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, anime saved?
Anime saved. I think it's saved.
Great.
Thank you, Trigger.
Yeah. Thank you, Trigger. Thank you. Thank you for, as Shaw would say, thank you for doing it again.
They done it again. Let's go.
Chat, any questions? Anything we missed? Any comments? Any concerns?
Thoughts and prayers for Adam Smasher. But if you like start playing the game and someone mentioned that he's just a mercenary, so what if you have to face Adam Smasher and you're like, no, not my hero.
And then I like fucking hate facing him so much that I'm just like, you know what? I take it back. He just sucks.
You're gonna quit the game. You're gonna be like, not my hero.
Hey, we could stream it. I could watch you face Adam Smasher, and I'm just like literally like I start rooting for him mid battle.
Yeah, you're like, fuck you, Sean. Adam Smasher would not let me down. Thank you, Adam. Thank you, Imaishi.
Thank you.
My goat.
I definitely have to do either a Trigger pod or an Imaishi pod where I just watch all his works and we just talk about it.
Yes. Yeah, because then we can loop in Panty and Stocking and Gurren Lagann.
I've still been meaning to get to Panty and Stocking this whole time, so finally maybe the time.
It might be the time. Season 2, you know?
Exactly. When are you going to do an episode of a Cobra Kai or of Cobra Kai? It's up to Shaw. I already finished.
I have to catch up.
So
I have to catch up.
Good stuff. I don't know if that counts as anime though. Could we just say it's anime? It's
close
anime.
enough.
It's
after season 2, after season 2, that fight in the school, I think it's an anime. That's essentially Kill la Kill.
Yeah. I think so too.
I think so.
Especially since you didn't like that last fight though.
I didn't, but I was still like, this is ridiculous. Well, I liked it, but I didn't. Whatever. I have mixed thoughts.
We'll break them down and more in our pod for that.
Yeah.
But I think that's it. That's all we got for Cyberpunk Edgerunners. Hope you guys enjoyed it. We definitely did. And that's kind of it. We are off, I think, going to be off next week. Yeah, we're going to be off next week, but we will
this week.
No, well, this week and next week.
Oh, yeah. We're off for
we're off Sunday,
2 Sundays.
But we're going to be off next Sunday. But in the meantime, we will be doing that survey we talked about in the last pod. If you listened to the last pod and heard about it, about the best anime episodes. So we'll be starting that up. Yeah, stay tuned.
Our October project.
Yeah, our October project. Check Twitter and was that it? Yeah. Oh, and if we do end up streaming Cyberpunk 2077, stay tuned. We'll let you know. You know, it depends on how serious Shaw is.
Adam Smasher 2020.
Let us know if you want to see that. I kind of do have the itch to get back in the world. So that's the one thing I will say, going back to Edgerunners, even though I was about to end everything, is that 10 episodes felt like enough, but it also left me wanting more. It just felt like, I wanted a little bit more of the world, you know? So
we need more. And I guess that's what they did their job. So now we buy the game. So now we buy the game.
Yeah, exactly. But Shaw will buy it. So
I will buy it, and then I guess we can do co-op. I don't know how that works.
Or I can backseat drive. I can just screen hack.
Yes.
All right, and that's it for this episode. Thank you guys for joining us live. If you couldn't join us live, obviously you can catch the VOD. Let us know what you think in the comments. Give the episode a like if you enjoyed it. And and subscribe if you haven't already, because we are like 10 away from like 1,000.
Yep.
So we're trying to get there finally. So help us get there. And
get over the edge.
Get us to the edge. No, get us over the edge. The edge would be 999, so to 1,000. And so besides that, thanks guys. We'll catch you later. Remember that we are just Weebs. And there was one other thing I was going to say, but I'm going to leave it at that.